So hello everyone, today we are going to do a fresh installation of FreeNAS and we are going to use FreeNAS for provisioning storage to our ESX environment. FreeNAS is a good way of provisioning iSCSI, which is block storage. Think as iSCSI as you have a computer and you have your disk and you connect to your disk with using the serial bus, iSCSI serial bus. Now if you have your computer which is remotely and you want to connect to that computer which has a lot of data, we use the protocol iSCSI, and that's the best way you can connect to it. It's widely used on the internet, and it's going to be a quick demo on how to configure your FreeNAS and set up iSCSI target for your ESX host for your home lab. So let's get started. You can see here download FreeNAS 11. Yeah, 11.3. This is the version you have downloaded. I want to quickly run through this. FreeNAS 11.3 requirement is you have to have a 64-bit CPU and a minimum of 8 GB memory. Okay, so let's start building it on first host. Right click on the first host because we are building on the first host. We are going to create new virtual machine and then click next. Data center, that's fine. Click
Just
next.
give it, no, just give it name. You didn't name it.
Oh yeah. Let's forgot that. So we can choose the old name which you had, FreeNAS. O1. You happy with that?
Yes.
Next. So quickly we'll jump on this FreeNAS window just to show the viewers. We are basically going to install FreeNAS 11.3 update 1, and the minimum requirement for is to have a 64-bit CPU and 8 gig memory, and it's a FreeBSD based operating system, so we'll be creating a virtual machine which is compatible with FreeBSD. Just to give you a quick overview, FreeNAS is a really good tool to use for provisioning storage on your home labs using iSCSI. iSCSI is basically something like a SCSI block storage. Normally on your computer you have your hard drive connected and you connect to your from the motherboard to the hard drive using a SCSI bus which is connecting you to your hard drive, right? But is the similar concept with iSCSI, but it's over the internet, over the IP traffic. So that is what iSCSI block storage is. So imagine that you have a computer over here, and then you have another computer which is remotely located somewhere in Chicago, and you can basically on a VPN connect to that over iSCSI. Or even if you have a home lab, you can connect from this server to this server using iSCSI. You can present the disk from this Windows 2000 to here using iSCSI as well, which you have done already on your lab, right? Similar to that. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, my name is Ibrahim Qureshi and I'm here with Harith, and this is going to be the first session which we are configuring FreeNAS on the environment. So you can see we have local disk here and it is for 600 gig free now, mashallah. That's free now. So let's click next, and then we are going to leave it at the compatibility at ESXi 7, and we will be using other because we need to install this on hardware which is FreeBSD. So we can select FreeBSD 12 as our hardware, which is the latest one available. What we need to remember is we only need to select 64-bit, not 32-bit, because we saw it on the website of FreeNAS that it is a 64-bit OS. So once you give that, click next, and then we'll be setting up the customization for hardware. Now CPU, I would recommend give 2 CPUs and memory, a minimum of 8 gig, which said on the website if you remember, and then after that the hard drive can be 20 gig. This is where your OS is going to be installed, which is the FreeNAS OS. So make sure you also make a habit of provisioning everything as thin provisioning, Harris, because I saw you didn't provision at thin and you took up all the space which was available on your environment. So now you can see you have a maximum of 541. Earlier you only have 30 gig remaining, if you remember. Yeah,
excuse me.
Yeah.
The first hard disk, which is 20 gigabyte, that's for operating system for the FreeNAS.
That's correct. Yeah. So
Okay.
what we are going to do now is we also need to provision the hard disk for, or a space, or a VMDK where you want to provision your VMs for using as iSCSI storage. Okay, so what we are going to do is leave this first 20 gig for your OS. You can't touch this. Add another device and then use this one as your iSCSI storage which you want to provision on your lab. So we will click expand this, and then maybe we'll not create massive data stores. We'll only create 50 gig data stores now. Okay, so
Okay.
also make sure you don't, as I said earlier, don't leave it to thick provision lazy 0, which is the default, and change it to thin, so you maximize the availability of your storage. Okay, so while we are doing this, minimum recommendation of VMware, if you want to run HA, is you need to have a shared storage and you need to have a minimum of 2 LUNs. So let's add another disk here, so which we will be using as a LUN 2. So add a drive, and then we'll provision this as 50.
So we should put all the disk the same capacity. We
don't need to really. It is only because it is suggested to have the same capacity if you're doing, disk mirroring or RAID or anything like that, and if it is physical disk. Yeah, these LUNs which we will present is going to be presented individual. You could choose to present this to a Windows machine, or you could choose to present it to your ESX host. It is best practice to have the same capacity of data store. So if you have a 1 terabyte data store or 100 gig, the other one is also 100 gig, so it looks even and it is a best practice. Or if you want to set up as a standard on your lab. Okay, but if you choose to have a LUN of or a data store of 1 terabyte and the other one as 1.5 terabyte, it's up to you. It's not a requirement, but what we would suggest in production environment, this is what we do, is we set up a standard, like, okay, we'll present all the LUNs as 2 terabyte, and then we try to provision all the LUNs as 2 terabyte as a standard. Does it make sense? Yeah, but over here this is a lab environment. Let's stick to 50 gig because in the 50 gig you can easily install like Linux machines, which is thin provisioned, like 4 or 5 VMs. We can install it there. You have 2 clusters, so it will be good.
No, you don't do it like a thin provision.
Let's go back and change it. That's a good reminder. Thank you. So which hard drive is it? This is the first one, which is 20 gig. This is the second one, which is thin provision again, which is good. And this is the third one, and well done, well spotting. It's not thin provision, so there you go. So it's thin provision now. So that's about it on this hardware configuration. We'll crack on with the installation. We already have downloaded the file for installation. Let's mount that file here. Right click on the VM, edit settings. We could have done it before clicking next, but anyway, so we'll be using a data store ISO, and then it is, I believe it is in the first ESX host, right? Okay, so we are going to select the data store, and then we have the FreeNAS, and click OK. And now basically this is how you mount, and then make sure you click on connect when it is powered on, then click OK. And then let's power on the FreeNAS. How do you prefer to open this on just like that when we power it on the client?
Oh, as a web server, as a web browser.
Web browser like this, yeah. Okay, so there you go. We are launching FreeNAS installation now. So Harith, I will let you do the installation, which is you already did it once, so it's nice and easy. I'll let you control it from here.
Okay.
So we are going to click space bar to select the first drive, which is 20 gig, and the other two drives, DA1 and DA2, as you can see, are going to be presented as a data store, or are going to be used as LUNs. I will click OK and then continue. And then over here it's going to give us notification that it's going to wipe off all the data. It's a brand new data store anyway. Brand new VMDK file. We have just a fresh installation. Feel free to go ahead and say yes to start the installation. And then we will need to set up a password. And make sure we remember this root password, because we will need this to log into the FreeNAS VM. Yeah, leave it at boot via BIOS. Excuse me. Should have used the microphone mute button there. So we will be, the installation is quick and easy, so it will just quickly go through copying some files, and it will reboot, and then we'll start configuring the FreeNAS for the first time. 60% done the installation. Oh yeah, I got a message here. Thanks for that. I need to share a file with you. My computer. So if you can open this file on your side so that you can see it as well, Harith, and then we'll quickly go through that. So the installation is completed successfully. Click on OK. And then we just say reboot system, and then we just take the boot disk. Client only. Okay, that always have no media connected, and the DVD and CD drive need to be client device only. Did you get it?
Okay.
Yeah. It will stop from vMotion if you have any client device connected. Okay, so we are basically booting it for the first time, I guess, here. So once it's booted, we will first configure the IP address, and then we'll configure the FreeNAS.